mezzo al rumore serve qualcosa che duri.
Il Papa Leon XIV.
Storie vere. Incontri che cambiano la vita. Persone che costruiscono. Uno sguardo originale su ciò che accade. Tutto questo è Tracce. Ora anche in una nuova versione digitale. Per raccontare sempre più storie di gente che vive. Tracce, la rivista internazionale di Comunione e Liberazione. In mezzo al rumore serve qualcosa che duri.
Il Papa Leon XIV.
Storie vere. Incontri che cambiano la vita. Persone che costruiscono. Uno sguardo originale su ciò che accade. Tutto questo è Tracce. Ora anche in una nuova versione digitale. Per raccontare sempre più storie di gente che vive. Tracce, la rivista internazionale di Comunione e Liberazione.
Questo è un luogo che genera dialogo,
Qualcuno che si impegna, che si batte.
che approfondisce la conoscenza e sostiene la fiducia. È un crocevia dove si incontra chi desidera il vero, il bello, il giusto e il bene. È una testimonianza di speranza nel cuore ferito del presente. E tutto questo
Proporre con la propria vita
esiste anche grazie a te.
Buonasera a tutti. Direi che chi è qui stasera e ringraziamo.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank all participants. You've won your competition, a resistance competition, after the long day with the Pope. However, we are all touched after this exciting day we've gone through. So the title of our contribution is Love for Life Always. How to take care of life was exemplified in a unique way by the Pope, who today oftentimes went off the cart and embraced and hugged some of our friends who are in a difficult situation. So it was really very touching to see the Pope. We would like to share with you that in conditions of difficulty and suffering, I mean, certain conditions are not conditions that you choose for yourself. This is something that you do not choose, and so you can decide to go through them. So the first thing that our dear friends will tell us this evening is that there have been, I mean, they've gone through these situations looking for meaning and looking for hope. And such dramatic things in certain situations even become beautiful. They are beautiful to see, they're nice to look at. And you would like to imitate those friends, I mean, these people. There's different various situations. You're going to listen to some of them. I'm not going to anticipate anything. Certainly, if you are in a situation, if you are in dire straits and in a difficult situation, you try and value everything that's in there. So, I mean, the tendency is not basically to complain about what is not there, but you try and kind of enhance what is there. And the return that you get from these people, for example, even if you get this kind of return from a person who's in a hospice, what you get is to establish relationships based on care. So significant, meaningful human relationships. This is something that you always get in return. And that is why care has a reciprocal meaning. Clearly, if you provide care, that means that you give, but also those who receive the care, they themselves give in return. So there's just these initial words I'd like to share with you. And I'd like to conclude by saying that this session this evening only aims at paying a possibility for those wishing to be taken care of to know that there's a group of friends. Of course, I mean, care has to be provided by an enlarged community, by an extended community. A family alone is most of the times not able to do this properly. So actually, there are relationships within civil society which get organized to support, promote, enhance, and also receive within the context of these relationships based on care. This evening, the session is co-managed by myself and Chiara Locatelli, who is the head of the Struttura Semplice of the comfort care, perinatal comfort care, and assistance to newborn babies with congenital malformations of Orsola Bologna. And she's the creator of the so-called Giacomo pathway. Thank you very much. So let us now leave room to our speakers. I'd like to introduce to you Andrea and Rachele. Andrea and Rachele are the parents, Ettores parents. As already said by Professor Maltoni, they chose for their baby a pathway which is the so-called Percorso Giacomo, so Giacomo pathway. It is a palliative care pathway. This is something that has been conceived for newborn babies who, ever since the very early diagnosis, are very weak and they're expected to live a short life, or their conditions. These diagnoses may come before birth, but may be evident soon after birth or after intensive care, because there are conditions characterized by irreversibility. The aim of this pathway means care, which means medical treatment, pain treatment, pain therapy. I mean, these children shouldn't suffer, and so there's lots of tools for them in order not to feel pain. They are accompanied and supported, and they're allowed to spend time with their family. And their dignity is respected. The dignity of their life as human beings is respected. And Rachele will tell us something about their experience and what they've gone through with Ettore. Good evening. We are Andrea and Rachele. We are Ettore's parents, and I'm going to talk. I'm speaking to you tonight, but I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. This is a speech that my wife and I have written together. And Rachele is here at the front. We also have our second son, Giacomo, a second son who would surely have to, but he's only 2 months old. Our first child is called Ettore, and it is he and his life that we want to talk to you about. The title of tonight's gathering states quite clearly that loving life requires as its sole measure the infinite. Loving life always. When all of this began, to tell the truth, our love certainly did have a measure. It was the measure of two 30-year-olds expecting their first child, so we were actually very excited, full of expectations and plans. You know, I married into a family that lives and breathes sport, and as a matter of fact, even before the first ultrasound scan, this child was already in our mind, an alpine skiing champion, a footballer, a tennis player, an NBA player, and then, whether you will like it or not, reality sets in. At the end of a checkup, in the 13th week of pregnancy, the gynecologist, a brilliant doctor who had been looking after us, had been following us, looked us in the eye and began with a sentence that we will never forget. Unfortunately, I don't have any good news. The baby's heart, even though it was as barely the size of a grain of rice, already showed clear and severe abnormalities. And later on, after numerous consultations across various parts of Italy, we would discover that he had a serious chromosomal abnormality whose manifestations would remain unknown until the very end. So it could manifest itself in mild or in extremely severe ways. There was no basis on which we could make predictions. There was no certainty to be gleaned from that baby with a heart like the size of a grain of rice, who in the meantime was living and was growing slowly, oblivious to everything. He was growing warm in his mother's womb. The doctor explained everything to us very calmly and also with a hint of gentleness even. There was no margin for error. That baby was developing perfectly healthily in the womb. But once born, he would have little, if any, chances of survival. There must be something we could do. We thought to do something. That's the first reaction to powerlessness, born of the illusion that one can possess his life. But actually, no, there was nothing that we could do. Leaving the surgery, we were dazed, and we were led into a little room, a nondescript little room. And when the gynecologist closed the door to go and fill in the reports, we broke down. We clung to one another in an embrace,
Reciproca.
rather than pushing each other's suffering away. All our ideas about our life together were now a heap of rubble. As we were leaving, however, I noticed something on the desk. It was a small photograph. The photo of the ultrasound scan, of his ultrasound scan, the first and only image of our child that was left there by mistake. Half an hour earlier, we had been longing to hold a photo like that in our hands, but now in the space of a few minutes, it had become something to be forgotten. He is our first child. How could there be anything of him in the universe that we could forget on an anonymous hospital desk? Ettore, even though we hadn't yet given him a name, had, without us realizing it, had gone from being a love to be cherished to a problem to be solved. The doctor told us, "Let me know whenever you like what you've decided." There was an unspoken implication in this sentence with which he bid us farewell that needed no clarification. We had gone into that consultation as two parents grappling with their first child, and we emerged an hour later as two judges asked to decide as soon as possible whether that child should live or die. So we came back home shattered. We were shattered. And so was the idea of our child. And so was our relationship with the medical world, which we began to piece together, disoriented and without guidance, through a series of specialist appointments. We consulted geneticians, cardiologists, surgeons. Each one of them gave us back a piece, but no one gave us our whole child. We were searching for the truth and what was best for our son on a pathless road, teetering on the edge of an abyss. And in those early days, we met two great enemies on the road, dangerously allied against humanity. Two true enemies of the truth, that is, fear and loneliness. Fear tells you only what you do not want to hear, but never what you want to hear. It drives you towards anything that promises to ease your pain. We were terrified of what was happening and of what was yet to come. Loneliness convinces you that there is no one around you that can embrace you in your pain, that this storm must be hidden away, and that showing your fragility is a weakness to be ashamed of. Together, they take your breath away, and that's how it was for us for a while. So we were still alone in the dark, clinging to one another, our eyes fixed on the abyss. And yet, fate comes to meet you, insofar as you too move and go and meet him. And For us, even though we were devastated, it wasn't right to reduce our son, the fruit of such a great desire for love, to a few lines of grim medical reports. So we began, without ever silencing that precious rather that is our heart, to take action, to search, and so suffering became a quest for meaning, belonging, a longing for a connection. We began to open up to a few friends who would fill our home every evening or exchange a few words with us on the phone. And one of them, to whom I shall be forever grateful, put us in touch with Dr. Locatelli. We didn't know her, just as we were unaware of the fantastic, extraordinary work of the Percorso Giacomo. That meeting marked a turning point in our journey and in Ettore's. Regarding the path, there are 3 points that we would like to share with you this evening. The first, it restored to us the true meaning of being parents. As such, we were and we are called upon to be the guardians of our children's lives and not masters. This is a subtle distinction, but it's fundamental. A guardian serves life while a master disposes of it. Faced with a world that asked us to dispose of Ettore's life as if it were our own and to erase his fragility as soon as possible by reducing it to the error of a biological algorithm, we met people who embraced that fragility and restored to its bearer the dignity of a person, and they helped us to become parents once more. Secondly, it allowed us to reclaim the ability to make a truly free choice. It enabled us to live the future as the Holy Father said today, so as a promise and not as a threat. You must understand that with every visit, Ettore's clinical conditions evolved in such a way as to sometimes leave even the doctors themselves baffled. They recognized the severity of his condition, but at the same time they saw that his body was reacting. With every setback, Ettore responded by growing all the same with a vitality that, according to the same doctors, was rare for a child in his condition. This child expressed just one desire, that is, to live, and that was undeniable looking at the ultrasound scan. But how could we see this, besieged as we were by fear and loneliness? How could we look beyond the images of death that were presented to us, framed by technical terms and back and stories and back and stares? More fundamentally, how could we have been asked to choose if we were not free? Let me tell you about an incident that helps understand how this paradox also deeply affected those who, on several occasions, urged us to make a decision. On the day of the morphological scan, once the consultation was over, the gynecologist asked us, as was customary, "Have you decided what to do?" And he'd used the plural out of politeness, but the question was directed to Rachele, because fathers in those rooms are merely companions. I was about to reply, but fortunately I caught my wife's eye before I could speak. There are moments in married life, and I'm sure that many of you will understand me, in which it is vital to remain silent. And that was one of those moments. She was looking the doctor straight in the eye. She smiled ever so slightly. "No," she said, "we haven't decided yet. But I'd like to ask you something, and it's quite simple." She leaned forward, she gently stroked her bump with the back of her hand and spoke slowly. "If it were your child, what would you do?" The doctor, who had 2 children of his own, flinched. Such a simple question had thrown him off balance, and so he paused for a few seconds. "Do you really want to know?" he said. "Yes." He hesitated, and then, in a voice that trembled ever so slightly, "I don't know." And anyone who tells you they do know is lying, because they do not know what they're talking about. It was the most honest confession he could give us, because in that honesty, there was more respect for Ettore than in all the protocols in the world. And so, within the Percorso Giacomo program, we found this human dimension in medical science. We stopped staring alone into the abyss, discovering a possibility of treatment for our son. There was neither termination of pregnancy nor aggressive surgery, and which would bring us back to the love from which he had been conceived and from which we all come and to which we all long to return, like it or not. 2 days before the deadline,
Ci sono all'ospedale.
Before the deadline would been given to inform the hospital of our decision, without much discussion, we realized that we'd each come to the same decision within ourselves, that is, to accompany Ettore right to the end. I remember that moment well. We were at last adults and free. Once again, we were anxiously awaiting a baby at any cost. And as a matter of fact, the third stage through which the program guided us was to help us experience our encounter with our son in an authentic way. On Rachele's birthday, when her only request for a present had been an ultrasound scan so she could see him, we discovered that Ettore, against all doctors' predictions, had passed away just a few hours after he'd said yes to being with him. It was as if he had waited until the very last moment for us to be ready to welcome him. The birth, for that is what it was, as we were on the cusp of the 6 months, took place on the following day. A moment before his body came into the world, I was terrified. For myself, for Rachele, for the late of our family, what are we doing? What if this is the worst decision of our lives? I'm not ashamed to admit I was afraid. And then he was born. And he was beautiful. He was born with his eyes open, his arms outstretched, his head tilted to one side, looking downwards, like a cross, like a silent majesty gripped my heart. And in those eyes, so much like our own, I can testify that I saw a light so bright that it swept away in an instant every trace of fear. There was only room for love at that moment. He was our son, and that was all. There was no room for death, not anymore. Those eyes, which I see every day, did not explain to us the reason for all the pain we have felt and that we still feel today. They only confronted us once more with a very simple truth, a reality that each of us can experiment in our own lives, that we are made for a hope greater than ourselves. And that limitations are not overcome by erasing them as if they were mistakes to be corrected, but rather by embracing them and standing by those who bear them. It is there where a person is no longer enough for themselves that they are given a chance to be born again, to be born anew. And it is up to us to decide whether we want to rise to the challenge of this reality or to give in to fear and self-interest. Our pain, our cross, go through that very place. I have no words to describe the paradoxical gratitude that has been with us ever since that day. We were able to love Ettore with all our hearts, with a love that has finally embraced reality, so unconditional, without calculations, without reservations. We were granted the privilege to spend 3 wonderful hours with him, thanks to the care of Chiara and Francesca. We were able to hold him, wash him, and dress him. He was tiny. 300 grams, 25 centimeters long, but he was perfect, believe me, beautiful and pure as an angel. On the day of the funeral, of course, we felt pain. Pain hadn't magically disappeared. On the contrary, it was all still there, but that day it didn't have the final say. It had transformed like a flower in the night. We weren't just weeping for a loss, we were weeping for a new presence in our lives. Every day, several times a day, our hearts turn to Ettore. Living up to what we have experienced as witnesses of his life is a desire that now underpins our family. We, as children, are struck and comforted by what the Holy Father writes in his latest encyclical Magnificat Humanitas, that is, that human beings do not flourish in spite of their limitations, but through the limitations, and that those who love cannot and do not wish to avoid passing through it. So to suppress pain entirely rather than to live with it would mean extinguishing love and desire as well, which are the very breath and ultimate destiny of mankind. It is then something to be lived rather than to be understood. to love the cross, not loving pain, because pain remains just there every day. Loving the cross is something else entirely. It is affirming that within that limit, if you embrace it rather than fleeing from it, a new life opens up. Before Ettore, we would have never believed that. So think about it. When has it ever been possible that starting from one's own goodwill, from one's own good temperament, to truly live through suffering? For us, during our journey with Ettore, never. So what triumphed within us was an event that took place both outside us and at the same time within us, our grace that matured in spite of us. It blossomed through our limitations. It is true there are crosses in our lives that we have not yet been able to embrace, open wounds, and the memory of Ettore is not the formula by which we will overcome them. But it is a source of help. It is a point of reference. It is a moment in our story to which we can return, which we must come to terms with each time anew. So every week we go to visit him, we bring him flowers and pinwheels, and we have a little chat with him. And needless to say, sometimes the sadness is overwhelming and it tends to claim its place among the cracks in our hearts. But it is only enough simply to recall that gaze or to visit Camp 1945 of the Certosa in Bologna among the pinwheels that long for that very heart to return to its original form, transfigured by the love that has overwhelmed us. And just as it has overwhelmed us, it has overwhelmed dozens of families we know. There's in fact a whole host of children who, having nothing but a few centimeters of themselves, of their own bodies, kept their eyes open, right open to the very end, fighting the battle for the truth of their very existence, defying statistics, the hardness of our hearts, and the bureaucracy that reduces a life to a few scribbles of ink in the margins of a medical report. Samuele, Chiara, Pietro, Giulia, Ettore, Cecilia, Adele, Diego, these are just some of their names. We have learned them through the Percorso experience, and these are names etched in their parents' hearts and on the stories of their families. So we ask ourselves, how big must a heart be to love life always? To answer this and to conclude, we will share something with you that always makes us both smile. Every now and then, to jot things down during the day, I send myself messages on WhatsApp. One day in October last year, I wrote to myself a line taken from a morning prayer that had struck a chord with me, which reads, "Enlarge, O Father, the capacity of our hearts." And since then, without me ever having said anything, that message keeps reappearing on the top of my list at irregular intervals. It reappears there next to the photo of Ettore's little hand, which is the image I've chosen for my profile. I'm telling you this to make you smile, but every time I read it, I take it as an invitation, as a prayer, and you can read it in two main ways. On the one hand, there is us asking every day for a broader heart, for a wider heart capable of welcoming in the spirit of love what has been prepared for our lives, with our limitations and through our frailties. On the other hand is him, so that little hand caressing us as if it were to say to me and Rachele, "Come on, Dad, come on, Mom, open up this heart, otherwise how will we ever meet?" And so, with a smile, we would like to renew this promise, and we would like to ask him to keep reminding us of it. A love without measure. This is the title of tonight's session. As I've told you, we didn't have it, but now we have a heart that every day is asking us to be opened up a little bit more. We miss you like air, Ettore, but we are glad because you taught us the only thing that we've come to say tonight, that is to say that life always loves us, and in a surprising way, even when everything conspires and plots its silence. And especially then, we wish you were here with us, our son. Wait for us and show us the way, your father and your mother.
Non aggiungo niente perché
So I'm not adding anything because Andrea and Rachele already accompanied us into their lives, saying very important and, well, huge things. I would like to underline, when I talk to them, fear and solitude emerged, which hinder the possibility to recognize truth and to be free. And today, Pope Leo said that the truth is met only in freedom. So thinking about ourselves here, to myself as a physician, as a doctor, and to all of us as a community, I think that the point, we are all called upon to serve these parents, these patients, in order to enable them not to live this solitude and to accompany them and to be accompanied so that they are free to recognize the truth for their own lives. I would now like to introduce other friends, Elisa and Marco. They are reference points of the Famiglia Santissima Custodi in the province of Ravenna in Russi, one of the 500 seats of Papa Giovanni XXIII, founded by Father Oreste Bensi, present in over 40 countries of the world. Elisa and Marco will tell us a little bit more about their lives. They live with their 3 biological kids, and they also have other 3 heart kids, and the grandmother, Elisa's mother. Over the last 30 years, about 150 people lived with them, some of them for dozens of years, and some of them just for a very short period of time. And I would like to ask them to tell a bit more about their lives, to tell us a bit more about their lives. Thank you very much. Thank you for your round of applause. Thank you for your testimony, which was very moving. We also have one of our sons in Havens, and so we feel close to you. I will be the one to speak on behalf of us, of the 2 of us. Thanks for having us. Having the possibility to share one's life experience is a very big kind of present. We are the mother and the dad of the Papa Giovanni XXIII house, and we were very glad that Pope Leo reminded us of Father Oreste during the service. Father Oreste inaugurated twice our house. He celebrated the Mass for our wedding. For the first one, he was too late. For the second one, he arrived at the end of the service, and in the third case, he was on time, because he never said no to anybody, and so he was always late. In our foster care family home, we live as in any other home. Ourselves, we live there, our biological kids and our heart kids. There are no saviors and no saved people. Everybody can be saved along with the others. Each one brings the gifts he or she has and receives what he or she needs. We've had the chance to live with 150 persons, some of them just for a few days, and some of them for several years, and some of them have been living with us for 27 years. We are said, many people tell us that we are good. We are lucky rather than good. Our lives are full. They are full of work. They are full of many things. Especially they are full of love moving the sun and the other stars. Being a single family with those who have no families, we are a single big family, is a place for resurrection for each of us. We become the witnesses of many miracles that lead us to touch the presence of God. In order to understand that, there's only one way. You need to try. the doors of the foster care family homes, as Father Oresta said, should always be open for all, especially for those in need. So this is an invitation. It's a sort of an advertisement. If you see one of the Papa Giovanni the 23rd house, please stop there, enter. You can knock on the door, but you can refrain from knocking. You can enter the house. The worst thing that can happen to you is that we leave you with all our kids and we take some hours of leisure, some spare time for us. So we would like to tell you a little bit more about the foster care family home through the story of a child. His name is Gugu. Gugu is an invented name, and I will explain to you why afterwards. Gugu came to our house when he was 9 months old. He only sees from a close distance. He just moves the arms. He cannot walk. He is not able to eat. He is fed by the peg, by a tube entering the stomach. He suffers from epileptic seizures. He needs special food prepared with sacks. He's undergone several surgeries. He needs assistance day and night. Alone, he does not even manage to scratch his nose. So what is the usefulness of a child like Gugu? When he came to our family home, our lives were turned upside down. We wanted a still child after so many exuberant children. Indeed, for 2 years, he never remained still. He always wanted someone with him. He wanted to be embraced. We stayed awake many nights in the hospital and at a house. We needed 2 hours to feed him with 50 grams of food. Everybody was helping us. The community provided us with an extra help. A lady coming 3 times a week to help us. Both of us, we were very, very tired. Father Oresta always said that beautiful things are done and then thought about. Giving a family to Gugu is a beautiful thing, but then you think about it. You think about all the fatigue, all the tiredness. We had a volunteer back then, a volunteer coming to our family home, and she was always sad. She kept smoking. She was not very. She did not make so many proposals. She wanted to talk, and she wanted to be listened to. When she saw the critical situation in which we were, she said, "I will give you help. I will lend you a hand." She did not seem able to do so to us, but we were so desperate that the beautiful things are first done and then thought about. We said, okay, let's try. In just a short period of time, she totally changed. She had become dynamic. She was very careful, precise. She was almost a mother. One day, she came. The husband of this volunteer came to our house. With a threatening gaze. "What did you do to my wife?" And we said, okay, we will be reported to the police this time. And we answered, "What do you mean?" He answered, "Since she's becoming to you, I do not recognize her. She was always depressed. She was always sad. Now she's happy. She's always willing to do something, the chores in the house. We did not do anything to her. It was Gugu. It was him. Gugu loved her very much. He recognized her when she entered our home because she kept coughing. She had a coarse voice, and he always smiled. Once she said to us, "I see you never have a moment for you. Call me anytime, day and night, and I come, so you can have some spare time. You can go for shopping. You can go for a walk." And so this was the case. Gugu enlightened the hope in the volunteer, and the volunteer saved us with her aid. One day, she was with us, and she was embracing Gugu. She had a cough attack. She had apnea. We thought she was about to die. She was not well, and she didn't want any treatment, so we threatened her. Either you call your husband right away and you go to the hospital, or we are going to call an ambulance. She called her husband. She was taken to the hospital, and after 2 weeks, she died. Her lungs had been consumed by cigarettes, and she also had another tumor in the other lung. But she died serene. Thank you, Rosanna. So what is the usefulness of one child as Google? This was not a question we asked ourselves. We were, one of our neighbors asked us something of this kind. She said, I always see you at night. What life are you leading? I pray every day. I pray for you. I pray for the Lord to take Google. So you pray for Google to die? And she answered, yes. What is the usefulness of that child? Well, she too died. She was an elderly woman, so a prayer also for Bruna. Several years ago, Google had an epileptic seizure that was bigger than the other ones. It lasted 90 minutes. He had fainted. The ambulance came, and the medical car also came. They tried with a Valium. They tried with something else, and he had a respiratory crisis. We saw the physician and the nurse as white as a blanket. We were afraid we would lose Google. Google was taken to the hospital, and it was not possible for him to recover. We left the house to our kids. When you look for the kids, you never find them. They were no longer in the house. So we looked for them, and we found them upstairs, all of them in the chapel in front of the Lord. They were praying. We invited them to pray so many times, to sing with us. They didn't want to come. So what is the usefulness of a child like Google? Then at the hospital, as a warrior, Google recovered. The nurses, the physicians, could not understand what they should do. The person in charge, the doctor in charge, came to me and he told me, we did not understand what happened to Google. What do you think? What's your opinion? Me? Well, I caressed him. He smiled at him. He smiled at me. I had no doubts. Google now as well. With my diagnosis, Google was sent back home. My Father Ressa said that you know only what you love. It's true. I was only a father, but thanks to love, at that moment I was the most competent, the most skilled person at the hospital. In the family home, training, culture, and study are much appreciated, but the real pillar of the family is love. Google, before coming to us, had spent the first months of his life in a facility. He was isolated because he had to be protected from illnesses due to his fragility. This had caused a closure towards relations. When he came to our house, he saw 10 people in our family. He lived in the chaos. One of our biological sons, Stefano, at that time he was only 8 years old, ran to us satisfied and said, Google smiled at me. We looked at Stefano and answered, it's impossible. Google is not able to smile. No, please, have a look at Google. He touched Google. He was also hitting him. And Google smiled again. Because that gesture, which was a part of a relationship, a physical gesture repeated in a certain logical way, Stefano wanted to play basketball with Google, enabled Google to overcome the barrier he had at the beginning. Starting from that day, Google started to smile, and he became a master of smiles. You will see the video later. We asked Stefano, you always said that you wanted a brother to play basketball, to play soccer, and Google came. Google cannot even scratch his nose. Are you disappointed by this? Disappointed, he said. Google smiled for the first time to me. I would like to have another one like Google. I said, okay, calm down. Now, Stefano has learned lots of things from Google. Now he has a university degree. He's an expert in orthopedics. So what is the usefulness of one child as Google? In the family home, you welcome children, not to treat them, just to love them. And you stay with all these children, even though they cannot be recovered. This is our rule of life, and this reminds us of the title of today's meeting, To Love Life Always. A 20-year-old girl came to us. She was very much depressed, and she didn't even want to cross the road. And we thought, okay, this daughter will remain with us all her life. Just a few years after, she found a job, she found a boyfriend, she is now married, she has a beautiful daughter, and these are the miracles of life. She is one of the family, and she always celebrates with us. One day, there was a group of scouts, and we were talking to them, and she asked to speak. Well, we trembled, and indeed she said, Marco and Elisa are two very limited people. I know them very well, and I can give you a long list of their defects. But they love each other very well, very much. And this, if these two limited people can experience such beautiful things as those experienced in a family home, I too can have a normal life. And then she added, I was always asked to go to the chapel to pray, and I never went to the chapel to pray. I was a teen back then, but when nobody saw me, when I had to take a decision or when I felt alone, I went alone to pray Jesus. So the presence of Jesus and seeing two limited people loving themselves, loving each other so much, gave me a hope for my life. We're celebrating 30 years as a family home this year. We had problems, we had difficulties with our kids. We made lots of mistakes. We had crises as a couple. We carried out psychological pathways, personally, individual pathway. We also had some difficult times when it comes to religious belief. But despite all these problems, we're very glad about the life we've chosen and we live every day. What is our strength? Our strength is being part of the single family, namely the church, and specifically of the community, Papa Giovanni. Our masters are those of the small things, those accompanying us, guiding us towards the truth. Our kids, as Google, staying with them, respecting their limitations, respecting their simplicity, their needs, changes and guides our lives towards the essential aspects, and especially towards joy. So you see the world in a different way. So what is the usefulness of a kid like Google? And to end, we had for 14 years a 40-year-old kid, a disabled boy, and he always said that the disabled kids should be aborted before they are born. We tried to make him change his mind in any way possible, but to no avail. We've tried so many times to have him reflect, stating that perfection does not exist. Each of us is different, and limitations of each of us are just our being unique and marvelous, just the way we are. But to no avail. He was a friend with Google instantly, but when he got angry, he said, disabled children should be aborted, should never been born. And we said, we told him, Google is one of the most disabled children we've ever known. So he should have been aborted. He said, he answered, no, not Google. Starting from that day, he no longer made the same statement. So what is the usefulness of a kid like Google? To improve us and to improve the world. So before ending my speech, I would like to show you a video describing briefly the story of the arrival of Google. Thank you.
Condividere vuol dire che la
Sharing means that my life becomes yours and your life becomes my life. So in sharing, you create a new type of humanity, the only kind of humanity, so that humankind can survive itself. How weird is this child? This child is so demanding. This child takes away so many things from us. This child always looks for us. This child gives us so many things.
Grazie.
Thank you. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Marco. Marco spoke about the mutual value of care. This testimony of yours really confirms that caring also leads to discovering something good in one's own life. As you said, the possibility to have something good for all. I would now like to introduce some artists, Damiano and Margherita Tercon and Philipp Carboni. They are artists through theater, books, etc. Tell us about autism and disabilities in an ironical way and in an authentic way. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for bringing to us what you're showing in many Italian places and in foreign countries as well. Thank you.
Buonasera a tutti.
So good evening everyone. So good evening. Good. You can ask, Damiano. So can you hear my voice? Yes, good. So we've listened to all your narratives. Actually, we were sitting in the front line, and I'm still a bit touched because your stories have been really touching. Let us introduce ourselves. We are part of the Terconauti, Group 3. At the moment, there's the two of us. I am Damiano Tercon, and I am Margherita. And basically, we talk about autism. We do so by focusing on potential and not on limitations. We try and always look at what is there and not on what is lacking, what is missing, sorry. And as a matter of fact, we talk about autism also online. We shoot a lot of videos, and we also have a show that we tour around. And since Damiano, since you are like that, sometimes there are people who ask, are you really suffering from autism or are you an actor? No, actually, I'm really autistic. And I am an autistic who actually plays, who is an actor, who works as an actor. That's also possible. And plus, you're also disabled. So, since you're disabled, what does this make of me? My siblings say. Sibling, because single, because actually you're one. If there were 2, 3, or 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, like your personalities, you would be a siblings, which means actually brothers and sisters, but actually in psychology, in Italian, it means brothers and sisters of people who are disabled. And we talk about that because we as siblings oftentimes are not in the forefront, as, for example, in the case of a child who asks for attention, but the attention has to be given to the person who most needs it. In order not to represent a burden on our parents, oftentimes we are children. And as a matter of fact, I've always done a lot for my brother. And actually, this is not the case. You were minding your own business and you were doing the same. You were also minding your business, actually, yes, but it was normal for me because I am an autistic. So it was normal for me to do that. Have you noticed, Damiano, that we are on stage? Do you always want us basically to turn me down? Well, no, you have to smile. No, not. Okay, I'll take advantage of this by explaining a characteristic that Damiano has. Like many autistics, he takes things literally. So I told him, dammi corda, which means give me a rope, and he gave me a rope. But of course, there is a word play between English and Italian, which cannot be translated. Margherita, you've probably forgotten that I would like to become an actor working in advertising, a fiction actor, a presenter, a moderator, a showman, a dancer, a DJ, a comedian, or, for example, and also to become one of the guests hosted by a show by Maria De Filippi. Your biggest dream is to sing in Sanremo, is that right? Yes. Yes, that's true. But I would like basically to do exactly the opposite than the Giallists, because the Giallists group were denied participation in Sanremo for 29 years. So back to us. Since Damiano has this dream, one day he asked me to help him. I mean, your sister is really very good. She's very nice person. Well, no. Well, apologies. Damiano does like that because another characteristic of Damiano is that he does not understand irony, so he never understands my jokes. Well, actually, when your jokes are so bad, most of the times it's good. So one day he asked me, fulfill this dream, so we started preparing videos online, on Facebook, on Instagram, on many social media, and plus, actually, not together, because you are the autistic person and I was the one who had to do everything. Well, no, that's not true. And plus, I want to play as an adult, and I want to be an adult, autonomous and independent. That's right. So tell us something. Tell us something about what you can do. I can cook. I can clean the house. I can drive. I can shop for you. I can actually... I am a real Cinderella man. Damiano can do many different things, but I know this because I live with him. But as regards autism, there's still lots of biases, lots of prejudices. Autism indicates a series of conditions along a spectrum. There are people who are more similar to Damiano, others who are very different from him, but actually prejudices refer to all. And in this respect, we actually introduced ourselves as a 3-person, but there's only 2 of us. But in fact, there's 3 of us. This 3rd person is not in our imagination. He truly exists, and he is a human being, an adult, really living. Unfortunately, what I would have liked him to be a cat. And who's his third person? He's not autistic, he's not sibling. What kind of problems does he have? It's your fiancé. We're going to introduce him to him. We're stepping back in time, and we're showing you how the first encounter between Damiano and Philipp, who's my partner. Up to that moment, Philipp had never met an autistic person, so he had a lot of prejudices vis-à-vis Damiano, and also that tendency that you have to, in a way, consider these things in a childish way. So let's move back to in time. This is a summary, a short summary of our show. So this basically shows the first meeting between you and Philipp. These are our chairs. Hello, my name is Philipp. Hi, Damiano. Nice to meet you. Don't be afraid of me, Damiano. I know that you're looking towards the floor because you, as an autistic person, do not look people in the eye. But I'm not doing you any harm. I am a friend of your sister. You know, I collected a lot of information before coming here. I watched a lot of movies on autism, and I brought you chocolates because life is like a box of chocolates. I know that, you don't like me, but I'm not going to bring your sister away from you. I'm going to be like a true brother for you. Okay, now let's look at the scene again, and let's actually listen to what I was thinking in that precise moment. Hello, Damiano. Nice to meet you. My name's Philipp. Oh, my poor one. This guy has really severe problems, serious problems. I'm really very lucky because I'm really only autistic. Don't be afraid of me, Damiano. I know that you look always towards the floor because you autistic people do not look people in the eyes, but I'm not going to do you any harm. I am a friend of your sister. How can I tell you that actually his fly is down, the fly of his trousers is down? He will never understand that that is the case in his conditions. Well, I collected a lot of information before coming here. I watched a lot of movies on autism, and as a matter of fact, I brought you chocolates because life is like a box of chocolates. Well, 90% dark chocolate. This is really terrible life. I know that you have something against it, but I promise I won't take your sister away. Instead, I'm going to serve like a brother for you. Well, actually, I cannot stand my sister, and now I also have to bear with a brother. Well, out of curiosity, are you a truly autistic person? Yes, yes. You autistic? Yes, yes. Well, actually, I saw another one. He was different. Yes, he was different because actually in our school for autism, all of us have different real powers, like X-Men. Yes, that's true. Can you do the same things? Yes. Once there was a pack of spaghetti, and I counted them in 3 seconds, and it was half a kilo. And is it true that you have an incredible memory? Yes. But actually, I will make an exception in your case. I want to be your friend, Damiano. I know that you, as autistic, don't have any friends. Actually, I do have friends. I'm going to introduce them to you. Do you think they like me? Well, you're a bit weird, but I think they like you. The first meeting between the two of them did not take place like that. Actually, this was different because their meeting was like that of other people. Nice to meet you, Philip. Nice to meet you, Damiano. Actually, he was less enthusiastic like that. But now lots of years have passed, and today I really do a lot of things for them. I drive them. I bring them when they are on stage, or I shoot the videos that we oftentimes upload on the internet. So I've become their slave, as Damiano likes to say. Actually, companion. No, the word he wanted to say was companion. But anyway, we make fun of each other. We laugh because this is how we would like to live our daily life. That's our way of loving life, the one we chose. But actually, this is a point of arrival. There have been lots of ups and downs in the past of Damiano. Unfortunately, Damiano was diagnosed with autism only when he was 23. This means that in his pathway, in spite of the fact that our parents supported him, he didn't have adequate specific support for his needs. And as a matter of fact, school in particular was very difficult. Would you like to tell us something about that, about your experience at school? Ever since primary school up to middle school, everything went well. And then in high school, everything went really very, very bad. Because I was bullied. I was told very bad things and done very bad things. I was called WC, or with other terms which using swear words and bad words. I was knocked down, and I was broken my nose, and then I was closed into a closet, and then I received a lot of kicks and lots of smashes in the face, by slaps in the face. And when I reported this to the professors would actually reproach them. And when they did so, my schoolmates replied, actually, we're just having fun. And then the professors would tell me, have you heard, Damiano? Your schoolmates are just having fun, so try and understand them. Of course, this is bullying. This means bullying. This is just violence. And unfortunately, Damiano, given the severe conditions at school, he could no longer concentrate. He could not focus. And therefore, his performance at school was not very good. So, in order to solve the bullying problem, professors advised Damiano to leave school, to quit school. So Damiano left school in his last year of high school, and since we wanted him to have a certificate, he got private lessons. But for the exam, I mean, you have to go to the public system again to take the exam. And so when we asked his old professors to admit him to the exam, they answered no, because if he had not been passed, his reaction would have been too bad. So they didn't even give him the chance to sit for the exam. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, in that moment, Damiano managed to get a driving license, and he's very good at driving. And he did that by passing all the exams like everybody. Because back then, as Margherita said, Damiano had not yet been diagnosed with autism. So this was Damiano's pathway. I am younger than Damiano. I'm 9 years younger than Damiano. In the meantime, I also made my experiences. When you learned that you were going to have a baby, sister, were you happy? No, not at all. Definitely not. Why? Because I would have liked to remain an only child. So we were not actually that connected, but that sometimes happens between siblings. After I got my certificate, I went to Milan, then I went to Paris, then I went to Dublin. And while I was studying at the library, I received a message by Damiano stating, Margherita, will you help me in spite of the fact that everybody is telling me that my possibilities are limited? And so there, in that moment, I realized that he was right. Up to that moment, people had not given him any possibility except for our family. Everybody was full with prejudices. They have never given him the chance to fail. And actually, I was given many possibilities. Maybe I didn't know what to do, because I had basically studied, for example, philosophy or theater. I didn't know what to do, but I was given lots of possibilities. And so I told Damiano, okay, I will help you. What would you like to do? What did you want to do back then? Back then, I wanted to participate in Italia's Got Talent. Actually, he saw that there were actually participants in the show who would become singers, and he tried. So he tried time and again. But Damiano is that kind of a person who actually, if somebody actually closes a door, he reopens that door time and again. So, and then actually, basically, if then there's somebody who again closes the door, I change the door.
Allora, abbiamo unito le forze.
So we joined forces. We focused on the potentials and on the abilities of each of us. At that time, I was good at writing. Damiano has a beautiful voice as an opera singer, and I had an ability to help. I said, okay, I join you. We united, we joined forces, and we tried. And we would like to show you a short video of the first time in which we all three tried to have some success together. Damiano, we were accepted in the auditions of Italia's Got Talent. Good evening. This is my brother Damiano. My name is Margherita. He's autistic. He has the Asperger's syndrome. These people are always shaking. They do not talk. It's not true. You're a disabled person. You need to accept it. You need to accept it. My sister breaks my balls. And Damiano keeps repeating the same sentence. Finally, we got auditions in Rimini. Oh, he's preparing his voice. And we received a very good news. This is the most beautiful moment in my life. I wouldn't say that. What are we going to do now? We rehearse. We carry out rehearsals. So, good evening, good evening. We made mistakes. We made mistakes, and then we rehearsed again. Rehearsals. My sister breaks my balls. And he keeps repeating the same sentence. I should also look at the four judges. So we're going to the Teatro degli Arcimboldi in Milan. 2,350 people. I am very, 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 very happy. I'm anxious and he's happy. We are about to live. We are in Rimini. We're going to the auditions of Italia's Got Talent. We have more than one day to the auditions. Other rehearsals to prepare the voice. So he kept singing. He kept singing and rehearsing. So I'm getting shaved. We prepared Damiano for the scene. This is the last rehearsal, a general rehearsal. So as you have the judges before you, so my sister breaks my balls. To approach the Arcimboldi Theater, we loaned a house. We took a house. So we rented a house, an apartment. So this is a situation of our boiler here in the apartment. So it's 5:30 in the morning. The boiler does not work, and we're having a shower with cold water because the hot water boiler does not work. So please have a shower as rapid as possible. Save me, help me, save me. And finally, we were in the theater. The very last preparation for the voice before the audition. Oh, Margherita, you said, "Good evening, my name is Damiano and this is my brother Damiano." And I answered, "Good evening." So we were dancing behind the scenes. Are you ready, Dami? Yes, I am ready. And finally, we've just returned from the show, and we received 4 positive answers, 4 yes. So it's midnight, and hopefully we are selected for the next stage. Outside the Arcimboldi Theater, our parents have come to see us. So follow your dreams. Limitations are only in our minds. And now, would you like to see the show as well, our show as well? A couple of minutes more. I don't know whether this is going to be a problem for the time schedule. Oh, we received no answer. So you can launch the show. 1, 2, 3. Video. Let's show the next video.
Buonasera.
Good evening. Good evening. Introduce yourselves. My name is Margherita. This is my brother Damiano. Good evening. I am accompanying him. He's the star, but he's autistic. He has the Asperger's syndrome. His biggest dreams is that of becoming an opera singer. Even though he's a disabled person, he receives a disability check, so he could benefit from this disability. I could take advantage of this, but I don't want to be in charge of other people. I want to be an adult. You can be an adult, and I believe in you. I will leave him. He wants to be an opera singer. He's going to sing this opera, song, let's say, by Mozart, written by Mozart. So my sister breaks my balls. She says that she's the one who has to do everything because
E quello è stato soltanto.
So that was just the first step. Damiano taught us to look at things according to another point of view, that are the potentials, instead of focusing on limitations. So we started to listen to him and more seriously, and we found a common language, and we realized how strong he was. And this enabled us to find the same strength in ourselves. And from that moment on, we managed to do things that we would never have imagined. So it doesn't matter which limits the others see in ourselves. The important thing is that we focus on our potentials, on our abilities, on who we really are. One should always believe in himself or herself, in our dreams, and in our strength to stand up after you have some difficulties. As we also wrote in our book, we should never be afraid. I think about Damiano repeating to me that no one is giving him a possibility. And I think about us. I live in Milan. He is in Rimini. We are so weird. We are so absurd, so small, so crazy, so no one. Two non-existing persons. For a moment in their lives, they're going to be someone. Two persons going to the stage, not just for 5 minutes of glory, but we will show everybody and we will show ourselves that if you fight, if you believe in something, if you do not surrender, you can be happy. Happiness is a conquest requiring time, moments of desperation, but it comes and it makes you do good things to yourself and to other people. Damiano on the stage will be able to say to all who silence him, those who bullied him, that he's there, he exists, he's a person with abilities deserving a place in the world, a small moment of happiness, and he will shout it out to those who wanted him to be dead, to those who think that we should be all equal, all grown up, all rich, to be living people in life, all arrogant, all strong, because only being aggressive you earn your place in the world, when indeed just a little is needed. Just believing in one's dreams, the passion is enough, love is enough. This is what it takes, passion and love, only this. A big, eternal, enormous love. Nothing else is needed in life. This is what wins. Love always wins. And we, all of us, whatever happens, today have won. We are not alone. Look on your sides. The journey is long, but you need to take the first step. All the obstacles will be overcome. I will overcome all the obstacles. I will grasp my dream, and I will follow my dream, and I will prevail. I will succeed in the end.
Oh, grazie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you also. Let's conclude this session. Thank you. You like hugs, don't you? Of course I do. So we join you. Oh, it's quite late. It's been a very rich kind of evening. I would like to thank you all for being here. I was moved by this performance of yours. I would like to share a thought with you. I was reminded. Well, I'm a pediatrician, and I deal with rare conditions, and at times I meet moms who are pregnant, women who are pregnant, and the times when they are expecting a child with medical issues. One of the big questions is what will happen to the siblings. Are they going to be less happy? Will they be overlooked? Well, having a look at you this evening, I saw what can be generated by such situations. Damiano asks for attention, for love, and the sibling, the sister, and her partner answering and responding to that request. And what this brought to your lives, it is the blossoming of a richness, of a wealth in all of you. So you answered yes to a love which was then given back to return to your lives. So thank you, because you're a living testimony of this important aspect, and I will use this experience with the people I will meet during my everyday work. I would like to mention a sentence by Pope Benedict XVI, which can conclude this evening. Benedict XVI said, accepting the other who suffers means in some way taking on his suffering so that it becomes my suffering as well. However, the individual cannot accept suffering of the other person if this person cannot find in suffering a sense, a pathway for getting a more mature, a pathway for hope. I think that meeting is a place where we can all walk together in hope. And to us, thanks to the meeting with the Holy Father, it is the possibility to encounter a presence embracing everything, even limitations. Thank you. Thank you very much. Since the meeting is this place, meeting is a place for beauty that needs to be supported. So along the pavilions of the fair, you find some posts with the writing Dona Ora with a red heart. Those who support the meeting can benefit from tax relief when drafting the income declaration. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to all the participants.
Questo è un luogo che genera dialogo.
Qualcuno che si impegna, che si batte.
Che approfondisce la conoscenza e sostiene la fiducia. È un crocevia dove si incontra chi desidera il vero, il bello, il giusto e il bene. È una testimonianza di speranza nel cuore ferito del presente. E tutto questo
proporre con la propria vita
esiste anche grazie a te.
In mezzo al rumore serve qualcosa che duri.
È il Papa Leon XIV.
Storie vere. Incontri che cambiano la vita. Persone che costruiscono. Uno sguardo originale su ciò che accade. questo è Tracce. Ora anche in una nuova versione digitale, per raccontare sempre più storie di gente che vive. Tracce, la rivista internazionale di Comunione e Liberazione. In mezzo al rumore serve qualcosa che duri.
El Papa León XIV.
Storie vere. Incontri che cambiano la vita. Persone che costruiscono. Uno sguardo originale su ciò che accade. Tutto questo è Tracce. Ora anche in una nuova versione digitale, per raccontare sempre più storie di gente che vive. Tracce, la rivista internazionale di Comunione e Liberazione.